Hey folks, welcome to Tweepers Tech. In this episode, we're going to be looking back at the Odin Pro yet again. I apologise in advance, I'll be doing a few videos around the Odin. There's so much to cover in terms of emulation, game streaming, but today we're going to be focusing on native Android gameplay. So we're looking at the games and the apps that we've already invested on Android, the ones that actually support gamepad control, as well as ones that can be mapped to use physical controls. So let's start off Vice City. That seems to be the first one to start off with. I started playing this a little bit. Let's turn this down. It's quite hard to control when you're looking through a different lens, so I'll try not to make a complete fool of myself. So with this game, nothing needs to be mapped. Pretty much start up and it detects your controller straight away. Let's get out of the car. Oh, you can see your left analog's working fine there. Jump in, right stick. Haven't played Grand Theft Auto for ages, so I'm a bit rusty. But I'd have no problem playing this game on this device. It seems to really suit it. I've played it on a phone before with touchscreen controls, and that was a bit of a faff. I think you can still use touchscreen controls if you want, and they appear once you do put your finger on the device. But as you can see, that works absolutely fine. Okay, next up we're going to try is Limbo. One of those games I keep returning to, really addictive. This also supports the physical controls straight away, as you can see. Moving around. Nothing has to be mapped here. Pretty much registers straight away. No problems. Unfortunately, I can't remember how to solve this puzzle, so I think I'll leave before I make a fool of myself. Next up is Crazy Taxi. I think it's a bit weird to set this up originally, but it does register the control straight away like the other two. Let's see, from what I remember, that is to change into drive and reverse or vice versa. Let's choose axle first. That's reverse, that's drive. Gas is the trigger. It's all good. Yeah, that's all good. On to the next one, I think. Right, next up is NBA Jam. It's another game that's been around for quite some time. It's had controller support for several years. Let's load this one up. Forgotten the controls, haven't I? You can see that I'm controlling, is that Kobe? Yeah, that works fine. A game that I bought recently, which cost quite a lot, was Grid Autosport. I think this cost about £6 or £7. It was a bit of an impulse purchase, if I'm honest, but this is actually a really good looking game. I'll just click on this and give you a quick demo. I didn't want to show too much gameplay as it can be a bit boring, so I'm just going to show you little snippets that these games do work out of the box, and there's no configuration needed, there's no mapping needed. And after this I'll show you the games that do need mapping. In terms of driving simulation, along with Real Racing 3, this is definitely one of the better games I recommend. Oh, pressed the wrong button, that's the rewind. I said before, it's really complicated trying to drive when you're looking through the camber lens. You can't really pay attention. Okay, let's get a nice view. Show off those graphics. I'm really quite happy with this. It is an expensive game, but really good looking game. And bear in mind, the device that we're using is what you would class as a mid-range device. Yes, it's got the Snapdragon 845, but that's not the best at the moment, is it really? But it shows that games like this are quite demanding. It's coping quite well. And all these Android apps that I'm using, I can use the Odin in standard gameplay mode. I don't have to use high performance or performance mode. You know, I would say they're only needed for the high-end emulation really. But all Android apps, I must admit, sometimes just to compare, when I play Call of Duty Mobile, I do put it in performance mode. There might be a slight difference, but it's not really noticeable. But it doesn't seem to impact the battery too much, but I'll show that in a minute. Okay, that's a little glimpse at Grid Autosport. Before I move on to the other ones that need configuration, the other games that I've got, Minecraft, that works with the controller straight away. Real Racing works straight away. And I think it's Riptide, that works also. Everything else needs to be mapped. So let's start off with Colin McRae. This is one of those games where it says it's not actually recommended for the device, but it plays absolutely fine. So you can ignore that. If you've got the option to download it, I recommend it because it is still a very good rally game. Right, you can see the touchscreen controls are actually visible. I don't think in this game you can turn them off, but you can see I've got gas mapped to the controllers. Brake, I believe I might have down as B. Steering works fine. And I'll just show you what I did to actually get this done. So if I brake, there's a little panel here you slide along on the right and you click on key adapter. And this brings up options for mapping buttons basically. You can see here I've got the analog stick. Now if I move this over here, it will delete it, and if I want to put my direction over there, I'll bring this over and then I'll click on that tick and it will help me move the car, which is quite cool. It also lets me use other buttons. Let's have a look. So you drag these buttons to the corresponding touchscreen displays. So this button here is pretty much your generic button that, you know, goes to handbrake, brake, as well as accelerator. If you're using a game where you're using the right analog stick, that would be this one here. However, I'm struggling to use that in games like Call of Duty Mobile, which I'll show shortly. But you know, once you've mapped these buttons to the corresponding touchscreen displays, you know, click on that and you're good to go. Another game that feels much more optimized once you've using physical controls really makes a difference, so you don't have to put fingerprints on your device. I haven't mapped the D-pad on this one, just the analog stick, but you know, you can use both. That's Colin McRae. I forgot to mention before that Rocket League Sideswipe also supports controller support out of the box. No mapping needed for that one. Now, with all the shooting games, I've tried all of them. PUBG Mobile, I've tried Apex Legends, Fortnite. Fortnite actually plays really badly on this. I don't know what it is, but it's a very demanding game. Fortunately, I'm not a big Fortnite fan, so I'm not too fussed. Apex Legends, I couldn't really get along with, and I'm not really into the Battle Royale games. However, I'm a diehard Call of Duty man, so we'll load that up. And I probably played this more than anything on this device. Now, if you've played it before, you know you're going to be on two different types of servers. I believe there's one for touchscreen controls, but once you connect it to a Bluetooth controller, it detects that you're using a controller via Bluetooth, because it only supports Bluetooth controller support. So it then puts you on a server with other gamers that are using, you know, a Bluetooth controller. But because we're mapping the touchscreen controls to the physical buttons, you actually stay on the original server, which I guess gives you a bit of an unfair advantage, which I'm not complaining about. But, you know, the game itself, I feel like it's got a lot of clutter, a lot of microtransactions. It's a really messy looking game in the menu, but once you're actually playing it, I do thoroughly enjoy it because, you know, you get to revisit all the classic maps. and it's got that Call of Duty flavour. Let's set up the configuration. So the best way to set this up is go into multiplayer, and you maybe want to go into a practice match. So you go to options here, click down on practice. You could just click on training mode or practice, confirm that, start the game up. That way you can set up controls without being shot at, because you can't do it in the settings menu when you're sort of, customizing the layout. This is the best way to do it, really. So you can see I've removed pretty much all the clutter off the screen. In the custom layout section, you can adjust the transparency so they're completely invisible. Thing is, I think you can still touch them by accident. I wish there was an option to sort of completely disable them, and I might have missed that. If anyone does know how to do that, please let me know. At the moment, the only thing I couldn't map was the right analog stick. Like, you can map it, but it's just not very fluid. I don't know if I'm not positioning it in the right place, but I'm really struggling with it. So I have everything else mapped. Left trigger, right trigger, reload, jump, crouch, change your weapon. Everything works as you'd expect. And when I'm playing the actual game, the only thing I do keep visible is the what's it called, the perks, the additional weapons. So, but I have actually mapped these buttons. Every so often you get like a special weapon up here, don't you? I don't know what it's called, but I've mapped that to the back button, which is quite cool. And the perks like the homing missiles, the drones, and the predator missiles, all that kind of stuff, I've also mapped those to my D-pad buttons, which is quite useful. Obviously it's not showing everything here, but I'll give you an idea with the key adapter. I've got the left analog stick here, and that's mapped to my movement. I'm not using the right analog stick. If I do want to start off again, I can clear that brush, and that swipes everything, starts from scratch. But you can see I've moved all these buttons around to do corresponding things. So, just let's see, what can I do here? It's hard to show you because I've actually moved everything. But, if there's a touchscreen control on the screen, you move that button to it, you press the corresponding button, and then you click on save. It's that simple. I don't really think I need to show you how to do it. It's pretty straightforward. Just have a little play around with it. But let's load up a little match just so I can show you, the advantage you do get in gameplay. I'm going to be using the touchscreen control just for viewing. Everything else will be pretty much mapped. Sometimes you do lock on the ADS button by accident. Oh, not the best start. So you do have a bit of an unfair advantage, but I'm definitely not complaining. Just want to show you. So I've got the drone missile. Press the right button, right trigger, off it goes. Sorry if I'm getting the terminology wrong. I'm pretty new to this game, but it is very addictive. Out of all the Android games, I'll probably play this more than anything. It's just, I think it's because I like the whole pick up and play element. I really don't have the time to play 30 minutes on a battle royale game, which is why I've never really appealed to Apex Legends or Fortnite, unlike my son who loves those kind of games. Anyway, I think I've shown enough. Ninja Rush is a simple little walk-along fighting game that I've always enjoyed. It's a great touchscreen game, and I think it's just another game that really benefited with the controls. Quite an easy game to play. So you've got left and right, and you've got all these buttons here. So got jump, got that dash. Oh, nearly killed myself. Ninja stars. So same kind of thing really. Key adapter. You know, at this moment I move this along here, that will delete it. If I want to map that button, drop this one over here, press the A button, and you're good to go. It's as simple as that really. And it's nice to sort of revisit games like this that were kind of installed on your phone, but you didn't really give them that much time, and it just adds a whole new flavour, new element, gives it a bit more life really. Still need to work on this though. That's Ninja Arashi, I think that's how you pronounce it. Now I've shown you some games that work with the controller mapped or naturally just ready to go. One thing I would recommend, because then you might not have an idea of what games are compatible with this device, I would recommend downloading an app, the Kishi app. So I used to have one of those Kishi Razer controllers attached to my phone, and that basically told you what games were optimized for controller support. And if you click on that, that will give you a list of games that, you know, are good to go, whether they need to be mapped or, you know, they'll have natural, let's have a look, sort of natural support for gamepad control. From what I understand, they do out of the box, so it may be worth looking at some of the games on this launcher, and they will then take you to the corresponding link on the Play Store. So that's a good way to sort of discover games that you're not sure, you know, whether they're compatible or not. Give that a shot. But obviously this video was just to sort of look at games that support the controller support and games that can be mapped. On my next video we'll be focusing either on emulation once I get used to AFRA SX2, or I'll then be focusing on cloud gaming. We'll see which one I do next, but hopefully I'll have a video for both quite soon. So stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in today. Sorry it's been a bit of a long one, but there's so much to cover. Yeah. Stay tuned to the next episode. Speak to you soon. Cheers.